Love it. First and foremost, I would like to thank all of our brothers and sisters back here that came out and supported our second rally here at Local 1700, Sterling Heights Assembly Plant, the home of the Ram. My name's Raymond Pecoraro. I'm the Assistant Director in Region 1. I would like to bring greetings from LaShawn English, our Director, that's not able to join us today. But with that being said, we're in for a fun day. The excitement's electrifying. And at the end of the day, we're here for one reason only. They made promises last year while we were out that they need to stand up and live up to, right? Now, promise is a pretty good word. They made promises, they backed down on them. We made a promises showing out today, and guess what? Our CEO decided to stay at home. Pretty awkward, because that's the power of the UAW underneath President Fain and all their leadership. We're not sitting down. When we were here after bankruptcy to save this plant, it was simple. We want product. American people, American workers are the backbone of this country. The leadership back then weren't out here, but we have all of our leadership out here with our members. We're serious. With that being said, it's a sad day. For 3 years, you made billions of dollars, and you choose to keep having a reduction in the workforce. 10% a year for the next 5 years. Make that make sense. In bankruptcy, when we sat through it, we were in hotel rooms looking at Congress, what they said, save the auto workers, right? But with that being said, they did save us. We did prosper. We came out. We made the company more money than they ever knew what to do with. But instead of giving it back to us, paying it forward, they increased the prices of vehicles by 30% in the last few years while trying to hold us in poverty. So with that being said, this is a day that Chrysler slash Stellantis slash Fiat slash Cerberus, and it all got crazy with Daimler if you know the history of Chrysler as a whole. 5 different companies in my 30 years, right? Which is sad because every company since I hired in 94, we made record profits every single time. But let's be the redheaded stepchilds and pass it along. Pass us along. Pass us along. Which is sad because at the end of the day, all we want to do is come to work, make a solid product, have a pipeline filled with products to sell to the great American people and abroad, but it seems like the company don't want us to go that way. I wish Carlos would have came here today. That way we might have been able to have a talk with him. But with that, you're hearing from us. So thank you, God bless you. And it's my pleasure to introduce a man that I've been in a leadership role and a position with for over 20 plus years and a friend of mine, President Mike Spencer of 1700.
Well, how you doing today? Glad to have everybody out here. As Ray already eloquently split it, this is about keeping a promise. Keeping a promise that was committed to for the Belvedere plant, but it's not just the Belvedere plant, all the plants. When we say keep the promise, we talk about keeping a promise of bringing product and resources to each and every plant to let us be fruitful and continue to thrive. When I look at our membership, that the narrative being painted as not good workers, we are craftsmen here. We are craftsmen. We take pride. Every vehicle that go out of here with our UAW sticker on it is because we take pride in what we build. If you look at the narrative from a CEO who's making millions and millions and millions of dollars while resources are being limited or commitments are not being kept at different locations and workers are getting laid off, it comes down to one thing, corporate greed. I always say it's always has been and it continue to be profits over people, whereas your most valuable resource is the people, such as the people behind us right now. We are here today to say, Carlos, wake up. Look at what's going on. Look at what you do that's going to affect communities, it's going to affect cities and your workers and your customers. We're here to build quality vehicles. Belvedere is there, Warren Truck is there, and all the other plants that have secured this future thus far. We've built the vehicle 3 times in a row, Truck of the Year. What changed? That CEO, that greed, and greed is always the root of all evil. You know, today I stand here with one of our own, Scott, and I don't see Scott standing around, there you go. unsung hero. Just like all the workers in there that you don't see, but you drive their vehicles out all day. This guy, as you guys have already heard, averted the kidnapping. You would never heard of him. He works every day, blue-collar worker, just like those that's in there working those lines. These are the people that Carlos needs to realize that his decisions affect everything that he does, affects us and the whole community. I want to say thank you, Scott, for your efforts. We appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Your membership appreciate it. And to Carlos, this guy right here is a stand-up guy. Now we're asking you to stand up and do the right thing. With that being said, I'm going to invite Mike Hayes from 412. Come up and have a word, Brother Mike. Thank you, sir.
Greetings, everybody. I'd like to start by saying that one thing that really pisses me off right now is that they're blaming the UAW worker for the trouble that this company's in, and that's the farthest from the truth. They seem to be on a collision course or a race to the bottom. They outsource work, they contract work, they send work outside this country to the cheapest bidder to increase their profits. What decision have they made that has benefited this company? Sales are down, margins down, profits are down. Every decision that this management team has made has failed. The only decision that seems successful to them is an increase of the CEO's wage by 56% to roughly $39 million. It has nothing to do with the UAW worker. I kind of feel it's ironic. At the same time that President Fain and our AA, Kevin Kuczynski, launched this campaign to wake this company up for violating an agreement that we mutually agreed to, isn't it kind of ironic that the Italian government has hit the company with ultimatums regarding failure to commit, regarding investment, as well as I understand the shareholders are suing them for providing false information. So it's not the UAW worker. I was a negotiator last year, and we negotiated this contract with President Fain because of the neglect that we've had for several years, and we made a lot up. We negotiated the investment letter, Letter 311. The company is betraying us on Letter 311, both in Belvedere and the Mopar facilities. Let's be, in my opinion, really honest. I don't think it's going to stop there. Letter 311 has, like I said, $18.9 billion worth of investment. When we were negotiating that agreement, you're in there negotiating for certainly wages and benefits. Wages and benefits are key, but without a job, wages and benefits don't mean anything. So we could have negotiated for job security, going backwards in time, maybe the job bank, severance packages, things like that. Instead, we forgoed that and we went for the investment. Investment equals jobs, right? What company is going to want to invest $19 billion and take the work out of the country? Apparently, they don't plan on investing their money, and in doing so, our jobs are leaving the country, and it's just wrong. Nobody wants to have to strike, right? But we're prepared to do what we have to do. They're ignoring the 311 commitment and many other facets of this contract, and it has to stop. And I appreciate the IEB, President Fain, everybody out here showing solidarity. It's going to be won by solidarity. We're not rolling over, and we're going to put an end to it today. So thank you very much. So I'd like to introduce Luigi Lokai from Local 51.
How's it going, everyone? As he said, my name is Luigi Jokai. I'm the Vice President of UAW Local 51. It's the home of the Jeep Grand Cherokee L, the 3-row, in the heart of the Motor City on the east side of Detroit. It's no secret. Everyone knows most of Stellantis' profits come from the Ram and the Jeep, and that's the American market. The company makes those profits because of investments and commitments that they made. And the biggest asset is the UAW worker. All the workers standing behind me. Now they want to backtrack on that investment that they signed and agreed to. It's more than a promise, it's an agreement. And that's a slap in the face, and it's wrong. And I got a message from Mr. Tavares since he couldn't be here, and I'm hoping he's watching wherever he's at. Mr. Tavares, you were recently quoted as saying your own arrogance is to blame for the most recent problems with Stellantis operations. Don't let that same arrogance continue down the path that you are going down now. by not living up to these agreements that were signed and agreed upon. You know good and well that there would have never been a contract without reopening and reinvesting in the Belvedere plant. Now do the right thing, keep your end of the bargain, because if you don't, we'll keep our end of the bargain. And like the shirt says, we got to do what we got to do.
With that being said, it's my great privilege and honor to introduce the next speaker, Kevin, which is the director of the Stellantis department, Gutkowski. Kevin, come on up.
Yeah, so I want to start by, my name is Kevin Gotinsky. I am the director of the Stellantis department. I work directly underneath UAW President Shawn Fain. So yeah, I mean, it's clear. I mean, we heard from a few other speakers here. We're here for one purpose only. It's keep the promise. I mean, that's it. That's why we're here today. So I want to thank Mike Spencer, local 1700 president here, and the other local leadership for having us out here and getting behind this rally today. You know, it's, again, like I said, you heard it from other speakers. In our 23 bargaining, the company committed to an $18.9 billion investment. Those investments are across all of our plants throughout the corporation. Today, again, our message is about keeping a promise, and it's about the Belvedere facility. In 2024, the company was committed to putting a Mopar Mega Hub in the back in the Belvedere community. In 2025, they're supposed to put a stamping facility in the Belvedere community. And then in 2027, they're supposed to put a product in the Belvedere community once again. The company has pushed back and said they're not following through with any of those dates, any of those commitments, and that's why we're out here. It's all about Belvedere. Belvedere was taken off the map a handful of years back. In this contract, we bargained hard to bring that community back to life. And now, shortly after our contract's been ratified, the company's pushing back and saying they're not going to honor our commitment. So that's what this fight is all about. Within our contract, we have the rights to strike over these situations. I want to be clear, we have no intentions, and hopefully it doesn't lead to that. Our intentions is get this company to do what's right, and it's leadership at the top. I mean, you heard the name Carlos Tavares. He was supposed to be here today. That's what brought us here today. We wanted him to hear our message loud and clear of where we're coming from. We want him, as the leader of this company, to follow through and do what's right. I mean, we hear over and over again, you know, he wants to blame the auto worker for the problems. We are not the problem. You know, here's a guy that took a 56% raise in the last year, bringing his salary up to $39 million, and they complain about our raises of 25% in this last contract. Carlos Tavares, ever since he's taken over as leader, we've been going in a downward direction, and we just want him to step up and do what's right. So that's our message. We want to be heard loud and clear. I know last week, actually, Local 1700 again hosted a meeting at their local hall with local leaders around the country, and the topic come up about the company violating this contract right now with these situations in Belvedere, and it was agreed across the board that all locals wanted to get behind and fight the situation and file grievances across the board. So moving forward, I know this past week we've had over a dozen major locals submit grievances to the company to force them to hopefully do what's right, and hopefully it doesn't lead to anything beyond them doing what's right. So again, we have the whole company across the board, all locals behind us, standing strong, and we're going to hopefully get, like I said, Tavares to do what's right. So again, everybody, what are we here for? We're here to keep the promise. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you. All right.
Keep the promise. 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 Who are we? UAW. Who are we? UAW. Who are we? UAW. Who are we? UAW. Who are we? UAW.
Say, look, I want to thank everybody for coming out. I did reach out to International and the region to come out and support us because of our last meeting at the area-wide, and then along with other things that's been happening locally. And we're going to need the support going forward. These little small rallies are going to turn into bigger rallies if they don't keep the promise. And we're going to constantly need you to reach out to your neighbors and your co-workers to keep the movement going. Everybody look good in red. I'd like to thank you, Kev, for coming out and supporting. And I most definitely like to thank you, Ray, for coming out.
And let me, I just want to say thank everyone for coming out. Really appreciate it. It's a great turnout. Like, so Tavares was supposed to be here. He decided not to show up. We wanted him to see this. I think that's the reason he's not here.
Hey.
We accomplished what we wanted to. He'll be heard loud and clear what our message is. So.
Hey, remember, team, the UAW in 2024 and beyond is handing out ass whooping and bubble gum. And we're keeping the bubble gum for the kids on Halloween.